Basketball's Midwest Esports Conference, Week 5. Today we have Grandview Esports versus Purdue University Northwest. Both these teams coming in at 4-0 right now, so there is a lot on the line as these teams are at the top of the table. And I am excited. I am Thousand Eyes alongside Gopher Eno. How you doing today?
Pretty fine, pretty fine. Excited for the matchup today because, like you said, it is two undefeated Giants clashing together, and of course, at the end of the day, there's only gonna be one still undefeated here, so should be a little bit of spice on the rift.
Yeah, absolutely. The teams both looking very strong here. Just looking through some of the OPGGs here, there is a lot of fairly standard stuff. There is one though that does point out to me there is a Pike support player in this game that I am very excited to see. Latents there on the just a Pike main, and that is always a champion that I love to see.
Yeah, well, we can see if that does pop up because sometimes it does just kind of not fall through the cracks if a player's known for a champion, and usually if it does, it falls through the cracks once, and then people are like, all right, no, no more of that. So we will be hopping into draft here in just a second, it would seem, though. So let's see if you do have those prophetic visions here of that potential Pike pick.
Yeah, teams are getting ready to go, and we will be just hopping in just now. Ban phase underway, and we will see what are the bans on the table there. Karma actually being the first one taken off for Grandview. They do not want to deal with that.
And Karma's still pickable, although I think the general consensus is that the Karma has dropped like about half the step to a full step in like usability, I guess, or desirability for picking her, just due to the fact that her items got nerfed in the Moonstone in the water staff. So hey, you know what? We'll have to see, as the rest of these bands so far gonna be a lot of jungle bands coming out. The Udyr has been just so dominant basically everywhere in the world, whether it's solo queue, amateur, or the pro scene. Good to see him off the table, I guess, if you have nightmares of the man.
Yeah, he is absolutely terrifying. Do not care to see him in my own games, and do not care to see him in games that I cast. So I am excited to see a little bit more jungle diversity. The Hecarim and the Galio being taken, but Seraphine is left up, and as is per usual, when she is available, she is taken early.
Yeah, and I can't remember if her nerfs for this patch or they're coming up in the next patch. Either way, though, still that all-around kind of nutty as hell pick. You can put her between 2 different lanes, 3 different roles, and there's the Tristana coming out, which is gonna be a pretty good matchup, if I recall correctly. If it is mid lane Tristana versus mid lane Seraphine. Seraphine, of course, has some of the lowest health and base armor values out of all champions. She has sustain in her kit, very ranged squishy support, and Tristana can just kind of hop on you and kill you.
Yeah, and the Caitlyn looking to be the hover now. I've seen a lot of this kind of popping up recently. She has gotten a little bit more of a buff, or more buffs lately, and the items have started to kind of work out in Caitlyn's favor. The lane aggression doing a lot of work there, and we still don't know where that Seraphine is going, but now it looks like we may have a Kindred for Grandview and the Jarvan on the red side for Purdue.
And this Kindred, if it is locked in, it does mean GVU have a metric ton of scaling. You have the Seraphine, who is a very hard scaling pick. The Caitlyn, who hard scales. The Kindred, who literally has it in her kit where she does hard scale with those marks. So GVU definitely so far at least looking towards playing a little bit more for the late game once we hit that 3, 4, 5, 6 item point. However, though, I do want to see GVU potentially draft a little bit more for the early game here, as that looks like the Pike you were hyping up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is going to be that support pike, not going to be that roaming mid lane pike that people are used to kind of seeing lately. So I'm very excited about this. This generally means there's a lot of action, and if Grandview were planning on putting that Seraphine into the support role, that now becomes so risky because one grab can just spell the complete end of that laning phase, as now we are through already the second phase of bans. Lots of top laners getting off the board. The Camille and the Gnar banned away from Purdue, and Grandview are taking off the Shen and the Riven there. Two picks that the Purdue top laner does have in that wheelhouse.
And Purdue, they're gonna have to lock in one of their solo laners here, unless that Tristana is, of course, a solo laner. And it depends on what their priorities are. If they do lock in this Cho'Gath, technically mid lane Cho'Gath has popped up like here and there in the past, but realistically speaking, they're just trying to keep this mid lane pick here in the dark until the very last bit, so they can get that nice little counter pick in the mid lane. Make sure it's the Seraphine or not the Seraphine in the mid lane.
Yeah, and right now, two of the tanks being hovered here, the Volibear and the Ornn, looking to be a little bit more aggressive with that Volibear if that gets locked in. But the Ornn will scale just as well as that Cho'Gath there. And now top lane looks to be a battle of beefy boys going up against each other and just going to smack each other around a bit. And now, what will we see? We still have either the support or the mid laner locked in yet for Grandview. Any guesses on what we're going to see?
Not really, no. I sadly have not seen as much action on this patch, but Morgana kind of confirms that this is probably going to be that mid lane Seraphine here. That does mean the side here of GVU, they have a lot of tools to absorb engage. You have the Seraphine, you have Caitlyn traps, you have Kindred ulti, you have Ornhorn, you have Morgana's, like half of Morgana's kit, realistically speaking here. And this Jarvan Pike and possibly Tristana combo might run into some issues here if they are just trying to jump gung-ho into this back line.
Yeah, and the Ashe going to be the final pick for Purdue. That will put Tristana in the mid lane as well. And like you said, that is a favored matchup for that Tristana there. Always able to jump in on the Seraphine, and her early game is very squishy. So that could play a part if that starts popping off. And it seems kind of like all of Purdue's composition, save for the top lane, is about trying to pop off in that early game.
Yeah, and especially since you do have the Jarvan locked in here. This Jarvan, of course, known for being able to facilitate lanes early. Everybody knows Jarvan has great early ganks thanks to the flag and drag combo, has basically the jack of all trades, especially in the early game, where he can tank a decent amount of damage, but of course not a metric ton, can do a decent amount of burst damage, but obviously not a metric ton, and has a little bit of utility mixed in there. And if you have the Jarvan Tristana combo here, just constantly jumping on the Seraphine in the mid lane, it is gonna be a lot of trouble here for this GVU mid laner Koskinen.
Yeah, and on top of that, you're looking at the top lane here. There is a bit of a discrepancy there with the skills, and as far as rank goes, Platypus with the master rank and Solendrick, plat 3. So I'm assuming part of why they wanted to get that Cho'Gath is to give something safe that can kind of scale up without really losing too hard, which I can appreciate. And I mean, the top lane is where I was going to be keeping my eyes on as far as like where possible issues could come up for Purdue, but I like that they're trying to cover their bases with that as well.
And the Purdue composition, they definitely have a lot of potential for sustained damage, since you do have the double 80 carry here, and you do have that Cho'Gath Jarvan frontline. Main issues they might run into is like, well, you look at this Purdue composition, they aren't really the best when it comes to wave clear. They definitely can siege, since they are able to take towers extremely fast, but there's also the issue of, do you have enough tools to realistically get onto this GVU backline, which is something I'm concerned about, because Cho'Gath, of course, can only really run at the backline. You do have Jarvan going in, but he won't be able to last forever. And will that be enough time for this double AD carry composition to potentially just melt through everyone on GVU? It is a little bit of a point of concern.
Absolutely there. I mean, for Purdue though, the one thing they do have going for them is if they can get onto that back line, especially pre-level 6 or, with those ultimates down, that is a huge opportunity there between Jarvan and Tristana and Pike. All of them can really blow somebody up very quickly to the point where a Seraphine W or a Morgana E is not going to keep them alive. So that is something to keep an eye on for Purdue as far as win conditions go.
And like this Tristana snowballing out of control could of course be an issue if we do see a lot of early map dominance coming out from Purdue and they're able to just garner that into a massive objective lead. They have them heralds, dragons, towers. That might like just make it so they just have the raw stats, the raw gold differential, the big old money bags to just kind of clobber their opponents to death with here. And who knows, maybe that is going to be what Purdue is looking for. Maybe they have another secret plan in their pockets, I should say, not kids, but in their pockets for how they are going to really blow up this backline, because once you get on top and start killing these backline members, there isn't too much GVU can realistically feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be a ticking time bomb for Grandview, as it usually is with something like an Ornn and a Kindred and a Seraphine. You want to get to those objectives safely. You want to just farm up in that early game, and you want to avoid taking any kind of skirmishy fights because they don't generally work out in your favor. But if you get to that, 30-minute point and you are, just slowly going through the game, things are going to look very great for Grandview there. It is all about trying to get through this lane phase as safely as possible.
And they definitely do have some tools to at least get through laning phase safely. Platypus, of course, on Ornn. Kind of a Giga tank, has a lot of extra safety. The Cho'Gath plus Jarvan combo is going to have, like, a lot of issues taking down this Ornn if we're talking about, like, post 8 to 10 minutes here. I want to say once we see like nearly an item complete on this Ornn, I don't think the Jarvan Cho'Gath combo are realistically going to be killing him. Then of course Seraphine in the mid lane, you can just of course AFK spam your Q on the wave from your turret. And then Caitlyn Morgana, well, that's a pretty dominant lane, so hey, maybe GVU does have the tools here to get this lane phase.
Yeah, but we will have to see how that works out as we are going to load into game, guys. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with game 1 of Grandview versus Purdue Northwest. And welcome back, everybody. We are now into game one as the teams are running out of the bases. Grandview Esports on the blue side, Purdue Northwest on the red.
And
30 seconds until
you know, you can chill out on the roof sometimes. Like that little cheeky ward over the dragon pit. I mean, that's nothing too fancy. It's not something you see a ton of the time, I guess, but it's kind of cool.
It'll catch an invade at the very least
Yeah,
from
I
that
guess.
area. But wards coming through all along in this early game as jungler's gonna get the sweepers early. Pike actually getting a sweeper himself. Level 1 there. So that is an interesting strategy. Really looking to go for that early vision control just to negate and force those early ganks to be more successful.
Yeah, and because you typically see the early sweepers level 1 on the junglers, since you can place the ward, then of course go back and you essentially get a free ward level 1. But you don't typically see it as much on supports. I think there have been some times in the past where supports will buy it level 1, then use it, and then go back and buy a word, but it differs a little here and there. Oh, hey, we're on stream. Oh, we're off stream. Okay, cool. I just looked over at the stream on my second monitor, and I'm like, oh, hey, it's me, and you.
Yeah, and Pike just looking to try and get these early engages through. Even without the jungler, this is just a very scary... Yeah, there is the scariness of that. Chuki gonna try and get as much damage in return as possible. Udon Bidan actually taking a good chunk himself as this Caitlyn can poke fairly safely here.
And even though that, of course, was a scary trade and Chuki did take a lot, we do see the Biscuits inventory here. Already popped a pot there. Oh, hey, look,
Yeah,
this is how we expect the mid lane matchup to go. And now that this Caitlyn Morgana is level 2, they do have access to the Black Shield, which is kind of important in this matchup. Pike has one of the most devastating level 2s out of all supports, since you have the hook and you have the stun. But if you're just able to Black Shield both of those, then he's just like, alright, I guess I'll not have fun.
Yeah, it now becomes a mental game of trying to time that Black Shield and bait it out so you can then get something with the cooldown later on. It is a lengthy cooldown early on. Will not be maxed first, so that is going to be the goal here for Latents and Chuki.
Oh my god. I just checked, yeah, it's 26 seconds rank 1.
Yeah, it is a long time.
Here comes Cold Throw, though, and a teleport,
TP.
actually.
Yeah, forcing the TP from Koskinen.
Maybe a little too itchy on the trigger there. He did still have heal and flash for Chuki plus Azog, so I guess it is always nice to have the homies be safe. Refer a friend, like many websites ask for, but that is a big deal, not having teleport on the Seraphine. It does mean that Koskinen won't be able to do a cheater's recall, won't be able to just get a free back to lane even if you do absorb a gank, as you have a bit of a fight in the mid lane here. I don't think...
Yeah, going in, they're just diving onto this Kindred. Does not have the ultimate, and that will be the kill there for Tapoder. Going to get the kill and the early lead. Another rocket jump comes through the reset. Koskinen gonna flash over the wall. There is a flash, or there is no flash to follow. Koskinen gonna be running away. Yeah, that is just wasting the time. Not sure if the flash was necessary, but it will confirm the kill for No You Stink. And Jarvan now 101, and Tristana. Great start to that mid lane.
Yeah, just a little.
Oh, wait, No You Stink once more. Yeah, here. Black Shield is down. There's the dash. Azog going to use the net to get away, but Udambadan is going to keep pumping out damage there. Chuki very low, but not going to get hit by the hook.
That is good of the bot lane there to absorb all that pressure there, I guess, but it does literally cost all their sums there, which kind of is a bit of a feels bad, man. This is what you want to see out of the Jarvan. Get that early prio down, get this early pressure down. This Tristana should just be able to have a free reign in this mid lane. Of course, killing the Kindred, wasting the Kindred's time.
Oh, they are looking at... top lane now.
This is also like a 2 health platypus, so I don't
Yeah.
know about this one, Chief. I think you just grab the free Krugs and maybe a plate if you so choose, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll just back off. I feel like if Platypus had not taken that extra tower shot, that could have been more, but we'll just get the push in and back, free back there. And Koskinen will get back into that mid lane, trying to just, at this point, stay as far away from this Tristana as possible because her engage possibilities are endless at this point.
Thankfully for the Seraphine, her high note, aka the Q, is a decently-ish enough long range, so he's at least going to be able to just constantly throw those out willy-nilly. The biggest concern, though, is if you're constantly shoved under tower, letting this Tristana just free farm, get maybe some plates here, that kind of is a big bummer, because that means that Tristana is going to be scaling up very nicely. It does also mean that this Jarvan for No Use Stink is going to have a lot more extra priority in that area of the map, which can be big for these early scuttles, and, you know, Kindred Marks tend to spawn on scuttles pretty early, and, you know, might have some ramifications.
Yeah, I believe it is the first one is guaranteed on the scuttle, and then from then on,
I think the second one is too.
second one might be. Yeah, I am not a Kindred player. He's all gonna try and get the damage down while staying safe, but the push in that bot lane will make the dragon an easy take for Colthrow, and Cloud Dragon going to be given over at 7 minutes here.
Oh, Koskinen.
Yeah. Supporter, yeah, that's a mid-lane Tristana.
Didn't even need the ignite there, like that's why I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, they're probably gonna flex the Seraphine to the bot lane, and then no, they're just like, you know what? Let's just keep it into that. It's tricky. Gonna be eating a lot of damage there. That's a good attempt at the stun. There's no flashes.
Yeah, but there is the Jarvan ultimate to come through, keep them in the area and get the kill onto the Morgana. So Chuki gonna fall there and the push will come through. Azog just gonna have to try and farm under this tower safely.
And this is kind of a very rough position here, since there's already a 4-kill differential. Kind of scary. 3 of those kills going onto the main carries? Kind of scary. GVU, they want to make at least something kind of happen here quick. Of course, they do always have the scaling. The make something happen quick is just more in the sense of you don't want this to spiral completely out of your control. And it is starting to tip over a little bit into that territory.
Yeah, that kind of is the big thing here. As you know, we talked about the early game that Purdue has is very strong, and that is going to be the win condition. And right now they are executing it, especially in that mid lane there. The 20 CS differential in farm and the kill differential. Pyke is being very big in this bot lane, creating a lot of space for this Ashe. As yeah, hook will not hit, but constant black shields having to be used. Did not time the enchanted crystal arrow correctly, and that will be an unfortunate use of that first Ashe ultimate.
And that is a big aspect of this matchup we kind of forgot to talk about here in the bot lane. The fact that once Ashe hits level 6, never mind.
Yeah, Tapota's gonna just go in. The encore will come through, but it does not matter. No, you stink picks that one up as the bomb did not confirm the kill, but that is fine. Now you have a mid jungle that is, they are both just ready to run around and bring that lead to the rest of their team.
Yeah, like if we just take a quick peek at the gold here, we can see there's a slightly massive differential of income in the mid lane currently.
I feel like you can't use slightly and massive in the same sentence.
Like, it's an amount. A healthy dose. As Ladence, sorry, I don't know why I thought of Lawrence, but Ladence, not Lawrence, gonna be looking for the hook here, gonna be missing the hook, eating a trap himself. Thankfully, Pyke, of course, does have that regen passive. Is gonna at least get some of this back. Oof.
Yeah, able to heal up decently, can play fairly aggressively thanks to the movement and the passive, giving a lot of sustain.
Oh,
They are
the
pinging
poker.
this arrow on the Ashe, but there might be some fighting in the jungle area here before that. Jarvan
Yeah.
coming it down.
Ooh, this is rough. I don't know if the Black Shield's up.
It was up, but it came out late. Udon going to take a lot of damage, and now the ace in the hole will get the kill. Azog getting the kill with the jungler there, but there is Tapoter. Good Lamb's Respite to keep Callthrow alive, and now Tapoter needs to run away. Solendirk is here, but he does not have his team backing him up, so he will just be falling. Unfortunate teleport there, and now with the dragon coming up in a minute, Vision Control is going to go soundly over to Grand View.
And those are some spooky kills. Let's see if Purdue's able to salvage any of this, because you do have a Jarvan, you do have a Pyke. That Pyke still has ultimate, that Jarvan still has ultimate, but it looks like they don't want to completely pull the trigger here just yet. And all that extra poke that we saw land into this bot lane against Udon, against Ladens, did really make a significant impact there, because No You Stink ate a binding and had to just watch for 3 seconds as his already low bot lane members just kind of had to bite the bullet. Udon dropping there kind of sucks. And then the unfortunate teleport. Big props to Callthrow, though. Like you said, on that Lamb's Respite, that was really clutch, since one thing Tristana can do, of course, is just use the Buster Shot to knock you out of it. However, if you have the massive cojones that Callthrow did, and you just wait out the Buster Shot, then you just do it afterwards, and you don't have to worry about that. As Infernal Dragon up here with that Rift Herald insurance, I don't think we're going to see too much.
Yeah, have the Cho'Gath for the Secura on it, and while they did have the opportunity to get that vision control, it does not mean anything when you reset right before the dragon. And with the with the Rift Herald there, that will be a lot of extra gold and stats in the pocket for Purdue. Leighton's gonna get into that black shield once again. Chuki just gonna run interference on that Pyke. Platypus getting a lot of plates in this top lane in the meanwhile, though.
And that is a big deal, since Platypus did already have the CS lead. Now going to be adding even more to it thanks to this plate lead as well. If we take a quick peek at the gold, yeah, about 1,000-ish between these two tank top laners. Layden's going to be eating a lot of damage there. Callthrow is going to walk over this ward, though, so I don't think they're in too much danger here. They know this is coming. They have the Ashe ultimate.
Yeah, and the other thing about that top lane, too, is while the Cho'Gath was down at that dragon, Ornn was just getting free experience, too. Ornn getting to that level 13 as soon as possible to start unlocking those increased damage and stat mythics is very, very crucial there. So Solendirk gonna be helping with the team, but giving up a lot of solo power in the process.
Let's see how it does play out, though, since, you know, still early on in the game. Pretty close, all things considered, with how we saw that early game go. I believe there should be an easy tower take here in the mid lane. It's already down to its last legs. Callthrow can do what he wants here, but it's still 2-0 to Tristana with that fully completed Kraken Slayer already. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, going down the items right now as we do see some backs coming through. The Gale Force is going to be the buy for the Caitlyn. Going to give a little bit more mobility to take on the Pyke and the get away from this Jarvan and the Ashe Arrow alongside the Sunfire up in the top lane for the Ornn is completed. So now, right now we're seeing some of the item breakpoints come through, but like you said, that Tristana already has the Kraken Slayer, will be getting even more damage, and has the upper hand going into these fights for objectives coming up.
Of course, on the other end, we do have that Gale Force already completed for this Caitlyn, so that can be a big deal as well, as Udon definitely playing with fire here, all on his lonesome against a potential Bind Trap combo. Ashe, not exactly well known for tanking up insane amounts of damage.
Yeah, Leighton's also doing the same there. Just jukes out that bind. Considering trying to go in here using using that stealth to try and enforce the issue. Here comes an encore in the mid lane there. Toponer going to take a lot of damage, but does not matter. The tower will fall. But now here comes the engage. There is the Lambs of Spite, but it is uses that buster shot to keep him alive. Colthrow gonna actually hop out of the Cataclysm there, and there is the death from below. The extra money for Jarvan and the Pike. So ultimately, that gold lead will go out in favor of Purdue.
Oof. And sure, you get that shutdown, but they got that tower. Here's the fight.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
bot
we're
lane.
not done. There's the black shield there, and the death from below is still ready, but he goes down before he can use it. Azog kiting this out hard. It is going to be the trade for the 80 carries, but the support for Purdue goes down. Layton's not able to get people low enough for that reset.
And the double kill also going to Azog on this Caitlyn as well, only putting this Caitlyn even further ahead in this bot lane, which is a very, very rough situation to say the least here, because this poke and potential burst combo of the Caitlyn Morg is only getting worse from here, and I like the Zonia's rush coming out from Chuki, recognizing, hey, I gotta not immediately die to all these physical threats. Having a pinch of armor sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, here comes Toponer up at this top side, but was not ready for this Kindred there. Flashes onto him, actually blows him up. The Lamb's Respite not off cooldown, but there goes Solendrick. They're gonna fall himself, and now Tristana needs a little bit of help, but he's got it. There is Platypus going down. Toponer trying to run away from this Morgana. No use Stigid Layton saying, get away from my mid laner, and the Tristana, rather, will survive.
And this Tristana Jarvan combo has just been so deadly so far. Like, no matter where they go, there's always death. And Platypus, he's gonna need a hell of a lot of armor if he's gonna withstand this literal 2-item Tristana, already having the Stormrazor completed to boot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're looking at the build right now for the Ornn and seeing nothing but armor there. The Sunfire obviously giving a little of both, but the armor boots, the plated steel caps, and Udon Badan gonna be taking a lot of damage there. Gonna be forcing the reset right as this dragon is up. This is the first of the Soul Dragons now, so teams looking to try and get some kind of start on this advantage. Early teleport coming from Solendrick. Wants to be here for this team, wants to help confirm this with the ultimate. The feast is ready.
For the Encore, they are all grouped up. No Ornhorn.
Ooh, Koskinen gonna be caught out, has to use the Encore defensively now, and they will just run away. The feast will work for that dragon, and now it is 2 dragons to 1.
And that is a nice little advantage here, picked up more or less for free from the side of Purdue Northwest. Of course, it's only the second dragon of the game. You didn't really get anything else off the back of it. So it's just going to be a nice little feels good buff, a nice little, hey, we're that one step closer to a potential soul checkmate here.
Absolutely there, and the Seraphine finally getting the Leandries here, not going for the Moonstone, not opting into that, wants to get more damage rather than the healing amp, which I find a little surprising here, personally. To me, it seems like you have enough damage. You don't have to really worry too much as far as burning people down, but you need to keep your friends alive, and right now you're not doing that.
Yeah, like, there is some argument to be made for it, of course, since you are going to be your team's primary magic damage source, and you don't want this Jarvan, you don't want this Cho'Gath just being able to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to build literally full armor and ignore, like, your entire DPS. But I gotta agree with just how far behind the Seraphine has been set back. Like, just go for the Moonstone build and chill out, you know? Just get all that healing down. Let your teammates just heal through all the damage and just win the long con.
But yeah, will be a bit of a scarier Seraphine in terms of damage. There is the hook coming through. Black Shield will keep him alive. Azog taking a lot of damage, though. Black Shield not doing a lot against the physical damage of the Pike and Tristana. So will just have to back away. Azog gonna just wrap around, try and get some of the farm under the tower. But now it looks like Colthrow might be in a bit of a rough spot here. No, actually, Chuki gonna get caught out, but that does not turn into much with the Black Shield to follow up.
And the Black Shield just once again being such a thorn in the side of Purdue here. Of course, there is only one Black Shield, and you are able to spread the love, so to speak, with your crowd control. Ladens, you gotta be careful.
Ooh, Taponer jumping forward. There is Culture getting caught out again, not able to use the Lamb's Respite this time around, and the Buster Shot will get the kill. Quick in and out from Taponer, who is just absolutely carrying this game, and that will be the start of the Baron. Once again, the feast is ready.
Ooh, yeah, and you don't even have a jungler. Let's see what the Oranhorn can do. Let's see what the Encore can do.
Yeah, the Encore comes through, and Lanes just goes down. They might be getting a little bit too low here. No, you stink gonna fall.
Wait,
uses the smite. The team steals the Baron. The Seraphine gets it. Chuki now using that Zonius to stay alive. Taponer's gonna be jumping forward there. The feast did not come through. Taponer now very low, burning down. Will go down to the Leandries there. Looks like we cast or cursed it ourselves there. And the Seraphine now coming up clutch in this mid-game fight.
How the frick did Seraphine steal it? They have smite. They have
the
consume.
smite came through early. No Use Think had to smite in order to stay alive there because he got so low standing in the back of that Baron pit and all of the AoE coming through. But you had the feast.
I think they used Feast on Platypus there, if I'm not mistaken, but that's kind of a big deal since multiple members are going to be getting out with this Baron buff. It means they're going to be able to stall out this game longer. Just hold off, let the scaling come on in, because we're already starting to see the tipping point when Ornn items will start pouring in here, and it's only going to be more and more Ornn items after this point.
Absolutely, and that is going to allow for a lot of scaling time to come through, right? Like you're looking, we talked about how well they scale into this late game, and the Baron is just going to let them turtle up. They don't even really need to do a whole lot with this Baron power play. The fact that they got it and kept it away from Purdue is enough. And now the push will start to come through here. Ornn going to group up with the team, and Dragon going to be spawning in 25 seconds.
Because what they really want to do with this Baron buff here is pick up some Luxury Gold and any stray turrets around the map you can get your little hands on. Of course, set up control over this Dragon Pit. Stop a potential Dragon Soul Snowball coming out from the enemy team, since this would be the soul point for Purdue. And they'd only need one more after this if they do grab this one. Taponer. I was going to hop on out.
Yeah, and they are just going to sacrifice this dragon to try and get these towers here, but they might be getting collapsed on. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything out of it. Just shove in the wave and run. Solendrick, the only one able to actually hit the towers, and now things are looking like they're starting to fall apart here for Purdue.
Just a little bit. They do still, of course, technically command a lead here, even if it is small. And it's not like they giga fall off late game. It's just more so they get very, very outscaled by many of the members on the opposing scene. All right, let's see what No You Stink can do. He can get spotted by a ward and just shimmy on out this tower. Not much longer for this world. Yeah.
Tower gonna fall call throw, jumping forward with no fear at this point. They know that Tristana's on the bot side here, Udon, but I'm gonna be taking a lot of damage. But with the Cho'Gath and the Tristana here in that bot and top respectively, or anti respectively, I said that backwards, they are just gonna freely push this mid lane in, trying to get this inhib, and will confirm that.
What do they give up for it, though? Because we do have a Cho'Gath knocking in on the base there, trying to take down this base turret. But considering it is just a 1.5 item full tank Cho'Gath, not exactly known for shredding through turrets, not even...
He has Demolish. Does have Demolish, and a Cho'Gath with Demolish.
Wait, look at this flank coming through. There's a Tristana, there's a Cho'Gath.
Yeah, they are going over. The knockup comes through onto Koskinen. He's going to have to use the Encore, but it doesn't hit anything now. And Taponer going to be jumping forward, but he might have gone a little bit too far onto a trap. Azog now going to get the kill. Platypus flashing back over after the hook, and the Ignite is ticking. There comes the Lamb's Respite just to keep the tank alive, and now Colthrow is in a little bit of trouble. The flash from Solendrick will keep himself alive. Both the tanks very low, but Taponer there getting a little bit too big for his britches and throwing himself into the enemy team.
And They were so close there. That was a very unfortunate blast cone placement, or spawnment there, I should say. Just able to save all these members on the side of GVU, and now you get that 1-for-1 with what should have been probably more favored for you. Not to mention also, one thing I do want to bring up is that Layden's, I believe we've only seen him use that Pike ultimate once this game, that Death from Below. And that's such a key part of his kit, because you really want to get that gold early with it. You want to snowball it to get those massive extra gold leads, and we just haven't really been able to see that.
Yeah, I am checking it right now, and it is only that one kill from the Death from Below. So not getting a lot. That is what so much of Pike's kit is balanced around, and only getting one instance of it off in a game at this point is very, very unfortunate there. Leighton's been very aggressive and gotten a lot of really good hooks off, but not been able to capitalize on it. And now, with that mid lane pushing in, the inhib down, they're going to shove this top lane to give themselves some breathing room, as Baron will be coming up in about 20 seconds or so.
And this next Baron, gonna be a big contention point, since you don't want to just give up another one like you did the last one. And with the current map control situation going in favor of GVU, well, let's see what this Tristana is able to do. That is a 3.5 item Tristana, so a lot of damage.
Yeah, but going under tower is not ideal. The Buster Shot will come through to stop the Ornhorn from getting the second proc off, but meanwhile, the top lane, all of Grandview is just shoving this top lane in, and there's no engage opportunity here.
Like, you have... Okay, there's the Cho'Gath teleport coming in. There's the ulti.
So Kulthro not able to get stunned there because of the Caitlyn traps there, and Azog's just going to take down the Ashe with no protection. No Stink is now in alone. Cho'Gath is finally here, but the rest of the team is already gone. He's just going to have to fight everybody by himself there, and he's not going to be able to get much done. Chuki gonna fall here, just shoving out, trying to keep this Tristana away from the team, but Azog is flashing forward. Ace in the hole comes through. Leighton's will block that one, but the inhibitor will fall in favor of Grandview now, and the base is looking to come next.
These turns not going to be much longer for this world. You only have these two members here. It's all going to be up to Poner, but just look.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
he's dead.
There's Death from Below will get the kill, but it doesn't mean much there when the only person alive is the Pike. The minions now coming in. Udon Bedong now back alive. Gonna try and stall this out as long as possible here, but the Ornn is huge. He can tank this tower forever, and now the Nexus is starting to fall. It will be falling. Kolskinen gonna keep hitting it. Azog not even taking damage from this Jarvan will kite him out forever, as Kolskinen going to actually confirm the kill, and the Nexus goes down. Grandview take game one, just all of a sudden put their pedal to the metal and run it down the throat of Purdue.
Yeah, and it all came from the fact that they were able to punish Purdue in some of those early fights, able to just stall out this game, and then, of course, able to so crucially steal that Baron. And it felt like Purdue, once that Baron fell, they just kind of didn't really have a solid game plan, because you had 3 members trying to fight off 4 members from GVU with that Baron buff, while you have that Tristana, while you have that Cho'Gath and side lane split pushing, and 99 times out of 10, you usually don't win that sort of base race. And I don't know, because Purdue, they definitely had a strong showing in the early bit. They had a strong early game plan. They were executing on it, but it just did not come to fruition, it felt.
Yeah, it felt like Purdue started getting really big, and they said, okay, we're ahead, we gotta pick, let's go to this Baron. Like, this is our opportunity. This is where we really just push it down their throat. And then they didn't take into account how much AoE and how much poke and kind of like long range damage can come through from Grandview. And all that damage forced the early smite. The feast wasn't used on the Baron, and that is why the steal was able to come through. And from that point on, it just looked like Purdue lost all sense of what they could do as a composition, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we'll see if they're able to improve on that going into this next game. But Yeah, because they definitely showed a lot of merit in that early game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt as to why Purdue is also 4-0 in the standings right now. The main issue is just they weren't able to really push pedal to the metal when it came push to shove, it felt, and that Baron buff just sucked all life out of them.
Yeah, but we will be getting ready now for game 2 coming up. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with game 2 of Grandview versus Purdue. And welcome back, everybody, as we are going to be getting ready for Game 2 coming up. Once again, I am Thousand Eyes alongside Gopherino, and we are getting ready for the draft of Game 2. Game 1, it looked like it was starting to go really well for Purdue. Grandview was kind of on their heels for a little bit, especially with that Tristana popping off. But once the wheels started going for Grandview, they just could not be stopped. So I'm curious what you want to see change from Purdue going into this game too.
I feel like a lot of it's mental. Oh, hold on, I'm getting requests from chat to pet my dog. Yes. Yes. There we go. Yes, my little content. I feel like a lot of it was probably a bit more on like the mental and game plan sort of side. And that you kind of can't exactly ban away those sorts of things, but we are hopping into pick and ban here with the Hecarim immediately being taken off the board.
Yeah, and things looking to be pretty similar here. Both teams staying on the same sides as last game. So Grandview will be on blue side, Purdue on the red side, and the Udyr, the Graves, the Karma, and the Hecarim. But this time around, the Tristana has been taken away.
It definitely was forced to fear. Granted, though, we kind of pointed it out. I know a lot of people in chat pointed it out that surfing into Tristana kind of sucks, and GVU just kind of was like, yeah, we'll just roll with it.
They did end up making it work, but it did not look good for a while there, and it looks actually with the Lucian pickup, I'm assuming this is once again going into the Seraphine. They're saying you can take away the Tristana, we'll just run something else that does the exact same thing.
Yeah, the Lucian kind of shorter range, of course, not exactly as brutal of an all-in burst combo, but he's able to do it much more repeatedly, just due to the fact that his dash comes up usually much sooner than Tristana jump. He's able to get his burst off faster. Either way, though, the Seraphine not going to be enjoying eating all that damage once again here, assuming that GVU do once again put the Seraphine into the mid lane.
Yeah, so that coming through, everything else exactly the same until you get to that Shen pickup there. That is where we saw the Kindred being taken last time around. This time, Grandview want to get that Shen. They want to get something that they can, have that can show up to these fights and force something, if you want to go in that tank for tank matchup, you're going to be dealing with somebody who could basically do that a lot better in most cases. So the Mordekaiser will come through as the response.
And, because I've kind of seen the Shen Mordekaiser matchup before, and the Shen is able to go toe-to-toe decently well with the Mordekaiser for most of the game. I do know, of course, so that Mordekaiser does always have that Death Realm, and when you put Shen in the Death Realm, he can't TP out with that Stand United. So maybe it's more of a very specific tech thing that Purdue is going for. Maybe it's just a favored matchup they want to get in. Who knows?
Yeah, and we are gonna see how that works out there. More bans coming through, the Lilia being taken away and the Morgana. So gonna be not allowing that Caitlyn Morgana lane once again, but the Pike and the Blitzcrank, two of the really aggro supports being taken away from Layton's. And we'll see what he wants to go for in stead. You could see the Leona come through. You could see I'm trying to think of what else as far as hook champions can come through. The Nautilus is available. Varus will be shown as the 80 carry here. So we do know that this will be the Lucian in the mid lane. And now Grandview going to have to show their full comp here.
Okay, it does look like it's going to be that Seraphine support unless we see something really, really funky here, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Seraphine going to be going into the bot lane. And the Varus, of course, can very heavily punish the Seraphine once you hit level 6, once you have those, why am I forgetting the name of it? Chains of Corruption. That's what it is. It's been a while since I've had a caster for Varus. But either way, though, it is an extremely effective tool to engage on, to pick upon that Seraphine in this bot lane. And I want to see this Varus picked with the support that can really facilitate that and just look to kill this Seraphine over and over and over again, and maybe even this Caitlyn.
Yeah, we will see as Victor and Rek'Sai are going to be the pickups for Grandview there. The scaling in the mid lane once again, but this time with a little more damage behind it. And the Rek'Sai, one of the most aggro junglers as far as early game and solo contribution there. Going to be able to dive with impunity, going to be able to pressure this Jarvan off a lot of things there. And that is locked in. That is a Xerath. I'm assuming this is the Xerath support because nothing else makes sense as the support.
Yeah, I mean, we've technically seen a few really, really janky games of Jarvan support this year. But Jarvan's also kind of the only jungler here, so their support is kind of just, I want to just poke the ever-loving hell out of you because I just have such a massive range. And it does outrange the Seraphine and Caitlyn in most aspects outside of the Seraphine root, just being able to hit them from so far away if we're talking 6 here. But if this Varus Xerath are just going for pure poke in the spot lane, that can't be very nasty combo, and I'm curious if the Seraphine healing will be enough to weather sort of the storm.
Yeah, we will see how that works out as we are now into the actual in-game draft here. Assuming this is the Varus in the poke orientation, that is really going to be a rough lane there. The healing not going to be really there for Seraphine until that Moonstone can be reached. And there is not a lot in terms of self-preservation around the map. So we are going to be seeing a very rough bot lane there, and maybe we'll see things kind of turn around because that first game, the Caitlyn was a just massive menace all throughout the game, just constantly popping people.
And it might be the case this game too, because Seraphine does have similar-ish range and poke to the Morgana. You, of course, don't have the same absolutely busted binding into trap combo, but the Seraphine does provide you with that very nice sustain here. And of course, when you do see Caitlyn, you always ask, well, how well are you going to do in lane here? Because there is always that Varus ultimate. Xerath has that long-range stun. There's that Jarvan who can just gank so easily in this early game. And will this Caitlyn Seraphine be punished here by the side of Purdue?
Yeah, that is the big question there. The Jarvan, obviously, in game one, looked really strong in that early game there. Rek'Sai, now a champion that will be able to match it a lot better than that Kindred, but still, Jarvan's gank potential in the early game is almost unmatched. And with a top lane that can win a little bit easier with this Mordekaiser there, you might see a little bit more aggression up on that side of the map. The other option is to leave that Mordekaiser, and if he falls behind, he just pushes the R button on whoever's fed, and it gives his team a fighting chance.
Yeah, it is always the dichotomy of Mordekaiser, and the biggest question, of course, is for this Mordekaiser Shen matchup, well, how is the side lane going to look here? How is it going to look when both these top laners exit lane, both of them have that item and a half, 2 items, what be it? How is that going to look here? Because that can always set so much tempo for the rest of the map. If one top laner is able to get all this free pressure, draw enemy teammates on up there, and then your team is able to pick up, let's say, a Dragon, let's say a Herald, let's say a Baron, God forbid, and that can be a bit of a big selling point here in this Game 2 match.
Absolutely there, as we are now getting onto that spectator delay here. And I just want to ask you, what are the lanes that you are kind of looking at here for both teams as far as a positive?
Mid lane is probably going to be the most exciting matchup here, especially when we factor in the junglers, since Lucian is able to go in very hard on this Victor. However, though, you have to remember that Victor does have a lot of potential for dealing with close range threats. He doesn't prefer it, but you still have the gravity field. You still have that little mini shield from the Q, and it can mean a lot against this Lucian Jarvan combo. But of course, we can also look at the bot lane once again, since it is going to be somewhat a similar dynamic that we saw last game, but also a little bit different with completely new supports on the table.
Absolutely there, and we will see how that all shakes out as we are going to load into game 2, guys. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with game 2 of Grandview versus Purdue Northwest. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We are now onto the Rift for game 2. Grandview on the blue side, Purdue on the red side. And right off the bat now, we have a little bit of interesting change of tactics. The heal is being run on Chuki and the barrier on Azog, so we're really just going for that defensive start.
And this is something that we have seen in the past, primarily with enchanter supports, because if you want to go full defensive on your AD carry, that's fine. But then also, of course, enchanter supports like the Seraphine, like the Straka, like the Sona, yada yada yada, they all typically have boosting and healing power, so usually, strictly speaking, it's better for them to take the heal if you're looking purely from an amount of HP healed standpoint. And of course, they also tend to have lower cooldowns on their summoner spells if they do pick up that Cosmic Insight, if they do grab those City Boots. There are a lot of pros to having the support take heal.
Yeah, when you're building all that heal shield power, it will boost that up, which is very nice to have. Colthrow gonna start on this bottom side as well as No You Stink. So mirrored jungle matchups here as far as the mirror along the river line will be. And nothing really too fancy here. You're seeing a little bit better board coverage for Grandview. in that early game. Gonna be able to see No You Stink as he goes around to those Raptors. And yeah, this is about what you...
Rude.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say it's about what you expected the bot lane, but the poke's actually coming out more for Azog here.
And that's what happens when you eat that drop the beat route. Because if you're able to land that, it just means you, at the very least, eat up a Piltover Peacemaker, which kind of hurts a lot in this early game. Especially since the Varus going for the Corrupting Potion start, going for that Poke Varus orientated sort of build. It does mean he has that much lower health bar, missing out on that Doran's ring. So things are going to be sticking to him and hurting just a bit more.
Yeah, and especially when you're tanking that Peacemaker without any minions to soften it up for you. As Rek'Sai looking up at this top lane here, gonna be just shadowing to make sure there is no level 3 gank for Platypus as he can shove that in. Nothing too major there. And now the junglers will meet on this top Scuttle Crab here. Topono, though, going forward, yeah. Going to be going forward there. And Odombadon taking a lot of poke in the meantime there. Will be able to heal up a bit, but not able to turn it around there as much as he'd like. Leighton's still not level 3 here. Missed a couple of minions of experience.
And I wonder if this matchup in the bot lane is going to flip once we see the first back come through. Because if Udon goes back, gets a serrated Dirk, has that earlier power spike than the Noon Quiver Sash, and then you combine that with Layton's maybe sitting on just a bunch of AP on this first back, it does mean this Caitlyn could potentially take a huge beating from that. Of course, on the other end, who knows? Because Azog and Chucky definitely winning out early on in the spot lane when it comes to these trades, it feels like, and that might have a little bit of lasting impact if we're looking at the next few minutes, looking at the next few tower plays. So next first dragon.
Yeah, early recall coming through from Azog. Gonna get those 2 long swords there for the extra damage. Puts Udombadon in a bad spot here because there is no opportunity really to back right now. But will still be able to get some experience. Solendric doing okay up here in this top lane, as you'd expect in the early portions of this matchup.
Yeah.
Oh, Colthrow gonna come in. Yeah, there is a flash forward from Chuki and a flash from or actually flash from Layton's there. Not gonna get over the wall and will fall in the process. So good early kill for Colthrow there, and he might go for a second.
Man, that's just so tragic. So tragic, missing that very crucial flash. And especially in this lane where you do have the double comet, you do have the double poke, you don't really want to be giving up leads here in the early game, because if that means this Caitlyn is able to farm up more, hit a bit more of that power spike with some potential legend lifesteal stacks, also getting some Ravenous Hunter stacks, that does mean this Caitlyn will have an easier time just going through your poke. And that's not even to include the fact that Seraphine, if she gets ahead and is able to just kind of spam heals with impunity, or just whenever she drops heals, drop an even fatter heal, that's going to be a big no-no if you happen to be a very poke-centric bot lane.
Absolutely there. And now Toponer once again just shoving this Victor in. Victor running low on the mana, so will not be able to counteract that push as much.
Oh Lord, you transitioned to me when I was taking a sip of OJ. But we'll see, because like you said, this Victor definitely taking a little bit of a beating on his mid lane, but doing better than the Seraphine into the Tristana.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but I mean, I feel like a training dummy would have done better than the Seraphine.
I mean, the training dummies by default have like 100 armor and MR, which is a little bit more than a level 1 Seraphine.
True.
Ooh, very vicious training in the mid lane, but Koskinen was able to get that big ol' recall back on to get that lost chapter, which is going to give him such vital mana regen in this matchup that he's going to love. Because if you're able to just walk up, drop a death ray on every single wave or every other wave instead of every other wave / every 3 waves, that helps you a lot in this matchup. It just helps you stall out. It lets you hit those big poke checkpoints, as his Lucian does want to get ahead early on since it is a very close range carry. Has to get in your face, and having those extra stats from kills, whether it be in health, pure damage, what have you, go a long way when you have but 500 auto attack range.
Yeah, definitely there. And we did kind of neglect to mention it at this point, but the Ignite on Toponer as instead of the teleport that is on Koskinen there. So we'll get a little bit more preferential back timing when that is available. So that is why you're seeing a little bit more as far as freedom to back. And yeah, the poke is starting to come down in form. Colthrow is level 6. Gonna be looking for that ultimate. There is the culling coming through, but the flash knockup doesn't even need the ultimate. Colthrow will get the second kill now of the game. So Colthrow getting that early lead that you need on the Rek'Sai.
And that's kind of scary because we see the lethality come out. Rek'Sai, oh, never mind that. There's the Encore.
Oh, big Encore there. The damage coming through. Udon has to back away. Flash will come through from Azog, but does not get the kill. He'll also use... Now this is actually a more preferential thing for Udon because the poke is so much more potent right now for the Xerath and the Varus. So Caitlyn gonna have to back to stay safe, and we'll miss out on some of these minions.
This is why I was wondering how the first back might potentially change things here, because now that there is some extra AD in this Varus' pocket, now that this Xerath has been able to back, buy that Sapphire Crystal, get that Dark Seal for all that extra AP, all that extra mana to play with, it does mean they are able to just go to town.
Oh, no. Yeah, Toponer knows he's dead. Gonna be going under the tower. Colthrow gonna get another free kill there, and the vision control now started to become an issue in this mid lane. Can't play as aggressive as you could with this Tristana.
Oof, and yikers, because this Rek'Sai has been all over the map, able to generate so much momentum, which is kind of crucial to Rek'Sai due to the fact she tends to fall off as the game goes on. But this Jarvan, who we talk about, has that early ganking prowess, has that early potential to get your lanes ahead. Currently 0-0-0, not able to really garner anything, behind on CS as well, and that is a bit of a very unfortunate situation here.
Yeah, and also important to note, the Victor getting those 2 assists means that the evolves will come through even quicker there. You get a lot of stacks on the Victor passive for any kind of takedowns. And yeah, that is why the Victor has the death ray already, and that makes pushing so hard to deal with now. Sprinter has to blow a lot of mana to match that.
That's why never mind that. Colthrow just gonna make the flash come out. Yeah, there's a Seraphine coming up the river, because it's either you eat the Rek'Sai knockup or you eat the Seraphine root / Encore. There's a nice little Void Seeker gonna land there. I don't think too much is gonna come of this, even though... Oh wait, no, never mind. Tricky does not have the Encore available quite yet for at least another 10-ish seconds, I want to say, so... Couldn't make anything really happen there from a long range, aside from a Colthrow landing some sort of wacky knockup.
Yeah, and when you look at the scaling of these teams right now, like, you're seeing, honestly, I feel like it is more than last time just really leveraging that early game, because when you look at poke type champions, they generally don't do as well in the late game because that lack of DPS hurts, especially when you're looking at Shen, who is going to be able to tank so much damage in these team fights. It has to be played perfectly as the game goes further and further for Purdue.
Oh, Lord. And they definitely can leverage the poke here. If they're able to just outpoke any potential Seraphine sustain, Platypus just gonna have to flash out there in the top lane, since as Mordekaiser already sitting on that Leeching Leer, has the extra Blasting Wand, a lot of ability power under his belt right now. Just kind of beating around the Shen, which is a little bit surprising since Shen usually is winning the matchup around this point. But hey, great on Solendric there. Definitely punching above his weight right now in this top lane.
Absolutely there. We talked about it earlier. The rank disparity in that top lane is very big there. And that's not to be mean to Solendric, but that is just where things are at. And to be doing this well, I think is very good. You usually, like we talked about it in the early in the first game of the series, like you want to maybe just put him on a tank and stay alive and all that, but they put him on a winning lane matchup in this early game and he's been able to make something out of it.
Yeah. Also makes me wonder if this is potentially just a Smurf account here for Solendric, if he has it.
That's also possible.
Like, if he had a main account that he lost or got banned, I don't know. CLOL is a weird and wacky landscape where some days you just see a squad of all masters and challengers just fight up against a bunch of like gold and silver players from college who are like, yeah, let's have fun together, guys. Definitely not one of those matches though. Very, very evenly matched, but GVU commanding the lead so far.
Yeah, absolutely here. And so much of that is on the back of Coulter right now. And No You Stink not able to really do a whole lot there. As you're seeing, the Mythics are starting to come out. The Prowler's Claw is going to be the pie for Coulter, and that is so annoying to deal with there. I believe you can use that while unburrowed, which means you can immediately show up on somebody without using the tunnel and then pop up and just obliterate them.
What the exact interaction is.
I think that's what it is, because I believe I've had that happen to me and I don't like it.
Because I know Prowler's Claw does have some weird and wacky interactions for the most part. Like Quinn, if you vault in but use Prowler's Claw while doing that, Koskinen, that's actually really nice route.
Oh no. Yeah, good route with that. Oh, does the little back for the flame. Oh my goodness. Koskinen knows he won that trade hard enough to just throw the little dueling glove at the feet. And that's opponent 0-3.
Like a great googly moogly.
Yeah. Koskinen knows.
Moogly, I guess.
I don't think I know a word off the top of my head, but Toponer probably has a couple words himself. As he is now 0-3, and that is not a spot you want to see Lucian in. Does scale okay into the late game with the Kraken Slayer. Did a lot for Lucian's scaling, but here comes Chain of Corruptions there. Azog gonna be getting out with the net, taking a lot of damage, but not as much as I think he would have wanted to get, as Udam would have wanted to get.
Yeah, Seraphine healing is starting to come in by a good amount. Let me just take a quick look at secondary runes here. Revitalize. He gained 5% heal and shield power, and he has already boosted 132 bonus healing.
There's the flash. Encore there. Gets onto Latents as well as Udon there. So will just be the easy kill there. The Koskinen gonna be there for some extra money in the pocket. And now with this bot lane tower falling, that is complete control of this bot side of the map. Shen has not even needed to ult to show up to these fights. And that is just going to get worse and worse if there is any kind of counter engage.
Yeah. This is kind of, to put into scientific terms, a very terrible situation to be in if you are Purdue, because there's kind of a big gold lead, to put in other scientific terms. And to put in more in scientific terms, you gotta shrink that gold lead somehow.
Yeah, we are very scientific in here. We like to run lots of experiments, such as the experiment of Varus Xerath poke bot lane. So far, the results are inconclusive, but leaning towards the negative.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, there it is. The Prowler's Claw coming through. Solendrick getting the flash off, though, so it was prepared for it. But that still will be the flash down, and Koskinen now going to try and shove in this top lane.
And, that's kind of a yikes for me, dog, since this Rek'Sai 4-0-1 working towards another lethality item as well. I'm not sure if Rek'Sai's go for a full lethality build right now, or if it's just like, you dip into the lethality with 1 or 2 items, then go into a bit more bruiser / fightery items. Either way, though, when you're 4-0-1 and can probably just look at someone and make him die, a little bit of extra lethality probably won't ever hurt.
Absolutely. Right now, Colthrow is kind of just on top of the world there. The game is massively in his hands. And now...
A little bit.
Yeah, there is the Prowler's Claw. There is the damage.
Yep.
There is the death. And that's Rek'Sai, everybody.
Yeah. Fed Rek'Sai. A 5-0-1 Rek'Sai. Yeah. Turns out a 0-2 Xerath support with 0 armor does not do too well against a Rek'Sai. Oh, wait. There's a Lucian here on Shen. Huh.
That's an interesting decision.
Is this a new tech or just like a bit of a meme build? Because I remember...
I have not heard of anything.
Let me check the u.gg site.
Yeah.
Technically, Omnivamp is kind of cool on him. It does give him a buttload of health. And the...
Riftmaker did get a lot of changes recently that did increase the health, made it more of a beefier item than it was a damage item before. So I could see it. It just feels a little weird.
It definitely feels out of left field considering how literally everybody just licks the chin and goes, yeah, you know what? You're full tank. Rush Sunfire. Get that Titanic. And it's like, okay. I'm going through u.gg right now, and I don't see any Riftmaker Shens. Kramer built triple needlessly large rod on Shen, but that was his only inventory item, so I think that was an in-game purchase.
Yeah, so we will see. There is a voice inside my head that is telling me that Platypus does go Riftmaker Shen. That is something that is known, but that will be an interesting build. I feel it's very aggro, and I feel like with how this game is going, the Shen tankiness does not feel super needed at this point. Getting the extra damage for the burst because there's nobody that's really tanky on Purdue's side. It could work.
I don't know, because we were informed by our producer that this is something that Platypus typically goes for, and I am curious about what his main reasoning is behind it. Since, like you said, there were a lot of changes to it, some interesting changes, and how does that translate to the Shen? Because you do get that bonus damage from the passive, you do get that true damage from the passive, you do get the Omnivamp, you do get the AP boost, which is kind of cool, but how does that apply to Shen? It's something I want to see, as that's a good route.
Oh, Koskinen getting very far forward. Here is the Shen ult there, and the AP is doing a little bit of work there. There's the flash forward there. The taunt going to come through. Lane's also falling there. Colthrow having to flash away, wants to stay alive. Chuki going to bring some heals alongside with that Moonstone Renewer, and now Solendrick is left on an island. Will use the ultimate to keep Platypus under that tower, but it's not enough there. Solendrick going to be stuck on the gravity field now, and Platypus is going to keep going in. Platypus will fall, but not before the Rek'Sai gets another kill onto Lucian. Solendrick now. The Rek'Sai going to be going forward once again, and the pullback will keep Solendrick alive. The perfect game is ruined, but the game itself is still just absurdly in Grandview's hands.
Yeah, technically there's already that early Ocean Dragon, so the true perfect game not possible already, but huh. Yeah, it is dire straits. We see the Kirshi Shard come out for this Victor. Which means either the rapid fire cannon or the Storm Razor. Might be
It's got to be
surprised.
rapid fire, right?
I feel like rapid fire.
Like both of those are not items I would really expect to see on Victor, but if there would be one of them, I would go with the rapid fire, kind of like Twisted Fate, where you get the extra auto range for the damage and the proc of the auto attack ability.
Thing is, though, it's like with Twisted Fate, it kind of makes sense because Twisted Fate having an extra about 200-ish range on the gold
we got
card
the
is kind of
engage
a
there.
big.
Oh.
I mean, do we even need to cast that?
That's a fair point. Okay, look, I thought it would take a little longer.
Like, I'm gonna be real with you, dog. I don't think we need to go, oh my god, he's going in. Can this Jarvan survive? Spoilers, he can't. There's a 7-0 and 2 Rek'Sai and a 3-0-6 Victor hammering away at him.
Fair point. Anyway, as you were saying with the rapid fire.
Yeah, well, an extra 150 auto attack range on a gold card is kind of a big deal as Twisted Fate. Especially if you're combining Sheen item like Lichbane in the mix. I don't see it as much with Victor since a point and click stun getting an extra 150 range is kind of a big deal. An auto attack boop getting extra 150 range, I guess.
Yeah, especially getting that before the Lichbane feels a little weird.
You know what? They have the massive lead right now. They have a bit of room for flex here.
Absolutely. Rek'Sai will be getting that dragon there, and Kulturo gonna get the third dragon of the game, or fourth dragon of the game, but third for Grandview, as they will get ready for that soul in the next 5 minutes. And slowly but surely, it feels like the noose is tightening around the neck of Purdue.
Yeah, it's all but over right now in terms of Nexus score. Like, if this were a solo queue game, you'd have those, like, 2 people on your team like, no, we definitely have a chance at coming back, guys. You always lose every game you FF. It's like, yeah, but I honestly put it up to a sub 1% chance here that Purdue's able to come back. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but you have one singular kill right now, and nobody is winning their respective lane.
I feel like they're just trolling each other at this point. The Blaska just keeping Stink away from the wolves. Now Kulturo wants this red buff. And I believe at this point, if Kulturo wants it, he can have it.
Yeah. The world's their oyster at this point. I guess one cool thing is, interestingly enough, the bot lane has 0 kills so far for GVU.
That is true.
Ow. Okay.
That is a positive here. So now Koskinen just going to keep poking, keeping Latents away from this. This is not a fun time here. Vision control going to be given over. Baron buff going to be started up, and you'd have to assume this is going to just go over pretty cleanly there.
Oh, that's a good route. That's die.
Yeah, goodbye. It's Brenner going to be taken down. Now you think trying desperately, but Koskinen really going to just push the limits here on keeping this team away from the Baron, and Kulturo will confirm that. Close snipe on the steal there for Udon, but not gonna get it. And now here comes the reset. the push will happen. And I mean, like, okay, so if you are Purdue in this situation, do you just bite the bullet and say like just split push as much as possible, or do you try and just group up and make some kind of pick, or like what are your options even in this situation?
A DDoS attack.
That's very true. There is
Um,
the opportunity of a sudden death on the side of Grandview.
you could also hope for, I mean, like,
Earthquakes.
realistically speaking, because you have this Lucian mid that's fallen so far behind. You have this 0-2 full lethality Pokefaris who just isn't realistically going to be poking for a lot here right now. When there's this Seraphine that already has the Moonstone working towards probably a redemption with that Forbidden Eyeball. Could be other things though. It's just a little bit too much healing to go through.
Absolutely there. And the poke comp is one that is very hard to play around when ahead, but when behind, you're just seeing how rough it can really be.
Like, yeah, No You Stink is level 11. He's a level behind the enemy support. That is, like, the worst possible situation when your jungler is literally a level down on the enemy support.
I don't think I've ever seen that. That is truly impressive to get that far ahead. Colthrow was able to just completely choke out all of the jungle from No You Stink, and now Infernal Dragon coming up. Infernal Soul almost assuredly going to go over to Grandview, and they're just playing with their food at this point.
Yeah.
Just end the game,
I mean,
guys.
They don't have to go at a breakneck speed because you have the Caitlyn, you have the Victor. They all outscale.
Yeah, there is the Ignite there. Ace in the hole. Use top lane as they combo it with the flash taunt there. Shutdown does come through now. Leighton's able to snipe out with the ultimate there. Solendrick gonna flash away, but here comes the encore. Hits both alive members on Purdue, and the Jarvan falls down. Leighton's going to be flashing away to stay alive, but for what? I do not know, because there go the towers. There will go the Nexus, and the series will go to Grandview 2-0, and game 2 was not even close.
Just a little. Yeah, game number 1 definitely was close, and I had good hopes for Purdue going into this game, but it feels like GVU, they just had the momentum from last game. They carried it on into this game. They know the exact pressure points to just poke around at against Purdue, and they really just kind of forced their hand here.
Yeah, and it felt like once Leighton's wasn't on something that could engage or play aggressive, it felt like Purdue fell apart as a team. Like a lot of the engage potential, a lot of the gas pedal going down was due to Leighton's really pushing the issue as much as possible. No You Stink had the advantage as far as jungle matchup in game 1. Game 2, it was much more in favor of Colthrow, had a lot more dueling potential, and because Leighton's couldn't play aggressively, No You Stink could not play aggressively, it just slowly fell further and further out of hand for Purdue. And I don't know what you can really say about that other than Grandview just completely controlled that game.
Yeah. The only thing they didn't control was the first dragon spawn, I guess. But after that, I mean, it's all in their ballpark. They got first blood, second blood, third blood, all the other bloods, except for 2 random deaths they had, one at the very end and one at the tower dive from earlier. This is kind of the result everybody expected to happen in this game once we saw the ball start rolling in GVU's favor and just getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to overcome. But still, definitely a very brutal result if you are a Purdue fan.
Absolutely there. And I mean, huge props to GVU or to Grandview for being able to really just do everything that they were able to do. We saw them kind of clean up the mistakes from game one, take away any opportunity that Purdue had, and even that mid lane matchup that went so poorly game one just completely turned around with just a couple of changes in that composition.
Yeah, and props to GVU once again. They will continue their undefeated streak here in a 2-0 fashion as well. So going 5-0, gonna be looking very strong. Granted, though, Purdue still looking strong themselves. 4-1 scoreline is nothing to scoff at, but when you look at the results of today, you're just like, oof, damn.
It just kind of shows GV on another level there. Like if the other undefeated team is not capable of standing up to them, who does? Because there needs to be some kind of a Kingslayer that is going to take them down, and kind of put them in their place right now. Purdue obviously looked great in that early game of game one, and I think that is what most teams are used to seeing from Purdue. It's just so hard when you see how strong Grandview are and how rough that could be. However, that will be it for us today. Congratulations once again to Grandview on the 2-0, and my brain just stopped in the middle of that.
Oh, your mic just stopped too.
Yeah, so congratulations to Grandview, and we will see you guys next week. I am Thousand Eyes alongside Gopher, and that is it for us. Have a great day.